Next on Worcester News Tonight, encouraging signs as the city's police department reveals the latest round of crime stats. Plus, finding history, Assumption College hosts an archaeologist who helped uncover the remains of an English king killed in the 15th century. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Catherine Andrioli. New this evening, a most wanted fugitive is behind bars tonight, and he's now charged in a 2014 murder in Worcester. According to the Worcester County District Attorney's Office, Victor Kelley turned himself in today and was arraigned. He was recently added to the state police's most wanted fugitive list. Kelley is accused of fatally shooting another man on Grafton Street in October of 2014. Kelley was ordered held without bail pending a dangerousness hearing. Immigration advocates held a forum tonight in Worcester, hoping to educate local immigrants on President Trump's new executive orders on immigration. Advocates and lawyers helping people understand who is affected by Trump's moves to step up immigration enforcement and measures they can take to avoid being targeted. Organizers say Mr. Trump's policies have paralyzed some communities as people struggle to run their daily lives for fear of being caught and deported.
There are families who are fearing to take their kids to school because they don't know what's going to happen.
Organizers say food pantries have also seen a drop-off of visitors. They're putting together 2 more events in April and May to bring more people in. There are reports of a snowmobile accident in West Brookfield this evening. According to a scanner, the West Brookfield Fire Department responded to a call for snowmobiling through the ice near Brookhaven Lake. Rescue teams were called in, but no word tonight from the fire department about the rescue or if there were any injuries. Fire departments around central Massachusetts have reminded people throughout the winter about the dangers of thin ice when the weather does warm up like today. 3 men are arrested on drug charges after Worcester Police Vice Squad officers find heroin and cocaine. The Vice Squad executed a search warrant on Richard Street apartment. Officers found 21-year-old Jerome Broddard, 20-year-old Tyrone Harrington, and 53-year-old Mark Wiggins inside. After the SWAT team secured the apartment, the Vice Squad found several bags of heroin, 4 bags of crack cocaine, and 2 bags of cocaine. All 3 men were charged with trafficking, possession with intent to distribute, and a drug violation within 300 feet of a school zone. The city says Worcester's latest round of crime statistics shows encouraging signs about work being done to keep the streets of Worcester safe. Rosalind Flaherty has the details.
Crime statistics released by the Worcester Police Department for 2016 has Worcester City Manager praising efforts by the city and its officers.
Worcester is a safe city. We're one of the safest mid-sized cities in the Northeast.
According to the data, violent crimes are down compared to the previous year. There were 5 fewer shooting incidents in 2016, and the number of shooting victims is down by 25%. City Manager Edward Augustus says the numbers are a result of the proactive approach by Worcester Police and the city.
A lot of good efforts in terms of, getting some of the real bad actors off the street, but it's also trying to be more proactive in terms of prevention.
Overall, incidents police responded to grew, but arrests went down by 4.6%. Augustus says the goal is not to arrest as many people as possible.
We've done this with prostitution, we've done this with the opioid piece, trying to get people connected to services. It means there's multiple additional crimes that won't happen because you've gotten the help and the support that you need.
Breaking and entering and motor vehicle theft did go up in 2016 compared to the year before. City Councilor Mo Bergman says the opioid epidemic plays a role.
Drug epidemic is something we haven't solved yet, and until we solve that, we're still going to have to deal with those types of breaking and entering crimes that happen because people have a fix and need money to pay for that fix.
A couple lifelong Worcester residents tell us they feel safe here.
I feel like that's one of the safest places to live.
Compared to places like Chicago, like California, and more places around the world, Worcester's just, it's a good place to live at.
The city's message is it is safe to live and invest in Worcester, and the work the police do is a big part of it.
You see our population is growing, our housing numbers are going up, investments in the city are going up, and people don't move to a city and don't invest in a city that they don't think is safe.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
City Council members addressed the crime statistics in tonight's meeting at City Hall. Also speaking about the issue was Worcester Police Chief Stephen Sargent. He says he encourages the community to report crime and wants the community to keep engaging with the police department.
And that's the relationship that's been happening with the community meetings. They'll give us information, and a lot of times they'll say, well, we've had five car breaks in our neighborhood, and look up the stats, and nobody called it in. So when we return to the community meeting the following month, we can discuss that with them and tell them how important it is. And because of that, there has been more engagement with the community, with the neighborhoods, with our businesses, and if there's any problems at all, we want to be called.
Assumption College hosted Dr. Richard Buckley tonight, who spoke on about his role in uncovering the resting place of Richard III, the last king of England to be killed in battle, and whose remains were discovered underneath a parking lot some 500 years after his death. Dr. Buckley spoke to a large group of people tonight. He led the project to uncover the king's remains in Leicester, England, after extensive research. Buckley's team of archaeologists uncovered the remains back in 2012 and were able to trace the DNA to modern-day relatives. Dr. Buckley says in his 40 years of archaeology, he's never experienced anything like this before.
We did the third trench and found evidence for this massive east-west building, which was a church. And its location meant that those two leg bones were actually in a particular part of the church called the choir, just in front of the high altar, which is where historical accounts said Richard was buried. So the context of it all came together. And then we started to excavate the burial and then found it had very particular characteristics. Lots of very interesting archaeology, but nothing that's perhaps captured the imagination so much as finding the remains of Richard III.
And Richard III may be best known for his role in William Shakespeare's play Richard III. And as you can see, many turned out tonight to enjoy the presentation. There's new fallout and reaction to President Donald Trump's budget proposals. The president is looking to increase defense spending in what he calls a budget blueprint to make America great again. But opponents say his plan will make deep cuts to funding for the arts, the environment, and for programs to help the poor. Brittany Schaefer has the story.
It's a bad budget. It would hurt this country.
Congressman Jim McGovern is prepared to fight against President Trump's proposed budget. He says it would have a negative effect on the Worcester community.
His budget is cruel. I mean, it disproportionately targets and hurts low-income people, senior citizens, the most vulnerable people in our community.
Under Trump's budget plans, programs for the elderly like Meals on Wheels would face significant funding cuts.
I think cutting Meals on Wheels is a lousy idea.
We were concerned and a little surprised, although we fully expected that this administration was going to make some major changes.
Meals on Wheels serves food to thousands of people in Worcester. The executive director of Worcester Elder Services says they are seeing an increase in demand for the program, and the funding isn't keeping up with the demand.
We want our elders to be reassured that the meals will continue. So we'll need to be creative, and that probably will include some fundraising efforts as well.
Another area who could see cuts is the arts. The Worcester Art Museum uses funds from national agencies and says it's concerning.
Funding for the arts from the federal government is critically important for arts organizations large and small across the country.
The Worcester Art Museum's Director of Philanthropy says they have received more than $2 million in federal funds in the past 20 years. It's helped make the museum what it is today.
They're critically important for connecting art and community, which is our mission. And we're going to do everything we can to try and, make that case.
Congressman McGovern says House Democrats are preparing for a budget battle.
We're going to fight Trump's budget. If the Republicans decide to bring that budget to the House floor, they're in for one hell of a fight.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
The city's new professional hockey team says it wants to help grow the game in central Massachusetts. And today, the Worcester Railers Hockey Club made it official by helping to start a new high school program. The Railers visited St. Peter Marion Junior-Senior High School today. The club has signed an agreement with SPM to have the Guardians hockey teams play at the new Worcester Ice Center. The agreement also included a partnership to help SPM start a girls hockey program. The Railers presented the school with a check for $5,000 to help start up with the costs.
So let's The Worcester Railers have been on the cutting edge of innovation in revitalizing downtown Worcester, and we were excited to be in partnership with such representatives of innovation.
By partnering up with St. Peter Marion here and giving them a home ice advantage at the Worcester Ice Center, we feel like it's a win-win and provides an opportunity that wasn't there, especially in girls hockey in central Massachusetts.
And the girls hockey team will begin playing this year at the Worcester Ice Center. The facility is expected to be completed later.